What is up, you beautiful people? This is Gary Horne, and this is the NWA. It's the show celebrating the past, present, future, history, legacy, and tradition of the greatest wrestling entity known to man. Nay, known to the entire universe, the multiverse even. We're talking about the National Wrestling Alliance. That's why Nick Aldis is the world's heavyweight champion. In case you didn't know.
All the worlds.
All the worlds. And we'll see what happens after 73. He still could be. I'm a little worried right now, I'll be honest with you. But that's something we'll talk about in just a bit. But hey, these are my buddies. Wil Martin.
Hey, what's up, y'all? Sorry, that was my... Sorry. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the post show.
And the Doc Stinson.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. You need to be worried, Gary. You need to not be worried about what's going to happen on day 1045. You need to be worried about what Trevor Murdoch is going to be doing for a career on Monday. This coming Monday. You need to be worried what he's going to be doing for a career. I like the guy. I've got custodial openings at my school. I've got all kinds of things he could do. But it ain't going to be his world champion. World's champion. World's champion.
Nay.
Of all the worlds.
So, I mean, you bring up a good point, and hate to start the show off on the wrong foot agreeing with Doc, but, we did talk a lot last week about, Trevor Murdoch potentially becoming world champion, but I don't think we really talked about the reality of what Rob just said, that, a week from today, Trevor Murdoch's wrestling career could be over. And watching that episode tonight, recapping all that, hearing him talk about that in Charlotte, putting his career on the line, seeing, a reminder of what went down at When Our Shadows Fall. Obviously I'm rooting for the guy, but I'd be lying if I said in the back of my mind, I'm not sitting here going, man, this could be a really sad day if you're a Trevor Murdoch fan coming up. So
I tried to maintain my composure.
It's going to be a sad day for me. I like Trevor Murdoch. You've never ever once heard me come on here and personally insult Trevor Murdoch. I like the guy. He's a friend of mine. I respect him. I had high aspirations for him. I thought he'd have been a great national champion, maybe a TV champion. Work the middle of the lineup and that kind of thing. But it's going to be sad for me to see him go. But I didn't call that shot. You're not responsible, Will. You're not responsible, Gary. Heck, even Conspiracy Corgan himself is not responsible insofar as he didn't arrange for this whole ridiculous conspiracy series and all that. Ultimately, that was Trevor Murdoch's call, and on Monday, he's going to be eating it. He's going to be eating that call that he made.
Well, I'd be lying to you if I didn't say that I got a little concerned after we were talking to him, and it really started to set in that this stipulation is a go. In fact, on August the 29th at NWA 73, the main event is going to be Nick Aldis defending the NWA World's Heavyweight Championship against Trevor Murdoch, but it is title versus career. Trevor Murdoch didn't have to make this decision. He had earned his shot in the Champion Series. Rob, I know you got disagreements about that too, but per the stipulation set forward by the National Wrestling Alliance, Trevor Murdoch had a title shot. And his friends, guys like Pope and Jack Stain, stepped aside, Colby Carino, and let Trevor go ahead and call his shot there at NWA 73. And it was Trevor himself who put it on the line that he added the stipulation, if I can't beat you, I'm going to leave the wrestling business. And that's a big deal. I mean, this is the whole man's life has been professional wrestling. I mean, this is what this man is, the very first student of Harley Race. And I mean, I get it. I get that he's got plans for his career and he's got a destiny he thought he had to live up to. But anyway, there he is. He's putting his career on the line against Nick Aldis, and I can't say with 100% certainty that I think it's a great idea. I'm just saying, I sat out on my porch drinking my ice cold Busch Light. Thanks for sponsoring the National Wrestling Alliance. I drank that on my porch, had a couple, just thinking about good old Trevor and how it might be the last time we see him. Lots of other stuff going on at NWA 73. I'm sure you guys are excited about. Let's talk about somebody. Well, let's talk about somebody who's got a big match at NWA 73, and then somebody who's got a big match at EmPowerrr and potentially NWA 73. We've got guests today, guys. We're headed in. The race to the chase is almost at the finish line. We're headed in.
Potentially.
What?
Go ahead.
Okay.
Say what you got to say. I take exception with the word potentially.
I'm just trying to be correct in the way that I say this. Things are up in the air. Anyway, let's welcome our guests. Here they are. You got excited. It's Tom and Kamille, everybody.
Hello.
How are we? We're in bed, as you can see.
I'm in my PJs.
Well prepared.
That's good.
My man.
Uh-oh, we've
right,
got antivirus protection popping up.
Uh-oh.
Sorry, it's probably for Rob.
Are we safe? Tom and Kamille, I do have to give you guys some credit because you guys did take last minute. You took an interview for me yesterday that somebody was reaching out and wanted to really talk to you. It was the AJ Awesome show, and you guys both were willing to show up on there. So strictly business. You lived up to your name. You knew what was good for business, and you promoted the show. How did that go? How'd your interview?
Well, I thought it was fun and it was unique for sure. But what was funny is I can't remember the question.
No, the question was, do you guys compete with each other? That's what it was.
Like, yeah, you.
Are you competitive with one another? Are you competitive with one another?
And I was like, this is a weird question for a 12-year-old. I was like, who came up with this question? Then he's like, I'm my mum. I figured so. I was like, there's no 12-year-old that thinks like that.
Yeah. Well, hopefully you didn't do that interview from the bed either. So
we did.
Yeah, but it didn't look as bad as this. So,
yeah, you couldn't tell.
Slightly more professional from the head up.
Okay, all right, that makes sense. Tom, you've got a big match. It's good to see you, and you're going to be showing up at NWA 73. You're in a triple threat match with Tim Storm and Crimson. And
look at that!
Look at those guys.
I know there's a bunch of beefy boys are going to be in the ring there.
There is. I think I've got the better lat spread going on there. To be honest,
But Tim is angled. Tim is angled a little bit. If you would turn a little bit forward, maybe he would get you.
Yeah, but Crimson has those dastardly eyes.
Yeah, he does.
Those untrustworthy dastardly eyes.
Crimson, we had a chance ourselves to meet Crimson backstage, and there is nothing like lighthearted about Crimson. He does not see.
Once you get to know him, he's got a heart of gold. I swear, he's like me.
We helped him out with something, and he came up to us, and he was just like, straight up, was just like this, just like, "Hey, I just want to say thank you guys for doing what you did, and if you guys need anything." Like interviews or anything, I'll be happy. I'd be elated to do that. I know that it doesn't seem like that, but I promise you, I like you guys.
See, that's
okay.
That's not what I heard.
That was a good impression.
That was.
That's not what I heard at all. I looked into those dastardly eyes, and all I heard was, "Well, I've had the time of my life." I was like captivated by those eyes, man.
That's because you had too many drinks. That's what that was.
To be fair, Rob gets that way with everybody at that point. So. Anyway, Tom, I know Crimson's kind of your buddy, so not even kind of.
On the kayfabe too. So is Tim, but I mean that's part of the job, isn't it? Beating up your buddies. So I'm excited for it. I think we all are. We're all very, very excited to be at the plaza. We're all pumped. I mean, and I believe, I think that we're more or less kicking off the show, I believe. So it's a good, nice position to be in. And like I said, I can't speak for Crimson, I can't speak for Tim, but I can only presume that they feel the same way as me, which is exciting and ready, and ready to roll.
See, this is why I don't make friends, because it's one thing to wrestle your friends, but it's another thing to be in a street fight with your friends. So that will be
Well, maybe I'm a weirdo, then I just like hitting my friends with
trash cans and
with blunt instruments.
all right.
Yeah, I was thinking about this the other day. I was like, is the chase carpeted? Like, how vicious can this get? Like, because you guys, I mean, I don't know. Like, I can't imagine like broken things being all over the Chase ballroom.
Well, we don't want to upset the venue, but
Tom's already done that once in his
yeah,
life.
I've been kicked out of several venues actually, but I do plan on breaking a lot of stuff, so I'm sure Billy can cover the expenses. You know what I mean? Like, you know, if we're gonna have a street fight, well, we're gonna break some stuff.
Yeah, that makes sense. Kamille, do you ever get worried about Tom when he gets in these kind of matchups?
Yes. I just tell him to not do anything stupid, but I know he'll do something stupid. So I don't know. I don't really want to watch. I'm gonna watch like this. You know how you watch a scary movie?
Yeah,
that's how I'll watch
You
it.
just don't tell her anything, and you ask for forgiveness after the fight.
That makes sense. That's how I handle most things with my wife. We're getting this question a lot in the chat. Or do you both know if you're going to be at FanFest by any chance?
Yes, I'm going to be there on Sunday, and he'll be there on Saturday.
Yes.
Okay.
So there we go. Yes,
that's it.
We'll be there.
Thanks for elaborating on that.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah.
And we're so excited to see everybody.
There you go.
So good.
Yeah.
Don't shower beforehand.
No, wear all of the deodorant. Wear all of it.
Oh man. Well, Doc, you look like you're ready to ask something. I'll let you jump in.
I just like how you're all chummy now. Like you're here. You're all chummy. We've got Tom Latimer and Kamille here with us, and as though just last week in the previous 8-9 weeks you weren't trash talking them when they weren't in here about strictly business and Kamille, you know, kicking Odinson and EmPowerrr during that match on the extra power.
Gary would never publicly.
I was going to say, tell me one thing negative I've ever said about.
Yeah, I don't.
You have said negative things week after week about Nick Aldis and strictly
Nick
business,
Aldis,
and therefore by extension, Tom Latimer and Kamille. But here they are now.
Gary,
suddenly you're all.
The Doc's thrown under the bus here, mate. I'm telling you.
Look, Odinson was giving me dirty looks backstage, so he had it coming. Okay, that's
Doc's stooging on you, buddy.
Yeah, that's it.
I'm with you, but it was Gary that was like, "Oh, what is this now? Look at Kamille. You agree with that, Stinson?" I'm
no,
like,
he deserved
she's helping the man back in the ring.
Well, listen, he deserved it. I'm just, you know, I don't agree with any kind of outside interference. That's just, I just
that wasn't outside interference.
Straight down the middle. That's
straight down the middle.
But, you know, I would never criticize the character of the person. You know, clearly she had.
That's a good save.
Wait, are our names showing for everybody right now? Because I literally just typed something.
It says Hiya.
Yeah, it's Hiya.
We're Team Hiya, apparently. Hello.
That's great. So you ever do a
big villains?
I know.
Yeah, big villains here. Big, you know, bad guys. Hiya.
Hiya.
Kamille, talk to me a little bit about on EmPowerrr. You've got Layla Hirsch, and
I do.
If you come out of there as the women's champion, don't look at me like that.
My God.
Yeah, no, I'm with you, Stinson. No ifs.
Win. You could go into 73 and have to defend it against a mystery opponent. You don't know yet because whoever wins the invitational. How are you feeling? How do you prep for something like that?
Well, luckily we've got a ring for the first time since pre-COVID. We haven't had a ring to work in since pre-COVID, so that has been a bit difficult until now. And now we have a ring, and we've been getting in there and just getting my wind up and stuff like that, because that's maybe the only advantage that Layla might have over me is that she's a little smaller, so she's gonna be lighter, so her wind might be better. So I've just been trying to keep my wind up and to prepare for that match. But other than that, I mean, I'm not worried about her. I'm going to crush her. So,
all right. How's it feel? How do you feel like this is your first pay-per-view? Like you're walking in as the defending champion. You're like, does it feel bigger to you to like all this weight on your shoulders now?
It does feel bigger now. I mean, last time there was a lot of pressure because it was to win the title. And now I have the title, so I have everything to lose. Everybody going in there, they're trying to get something from me, but I'm the one who has everything to lose. And the fact that, we're doing it at the Chase, which is, it's not like I have, that advantage of always being in the GPB studios over Layla, because now we're both in a new, spot. So that's going to be different. And the fact that we have fans, I mean, lots and lots and lots and lots of fans. But I think that will feed into me and my aggressiveness, because whether they love it or whether they hate what I'm doing, if they hate what I'm doing to Layla and think it's too brutal, that's on them.
Fair enough. I got somebody in the chat, Addy or ADY. Tom, are you from Yorkshire?
No, originally from Derbyshire. However, I moved. So I was born and raised in Chesterfield, which is in Derbyshire. There's a lot of names to places, but so Derbyshire is where I was born and raised. My dad's still there. One of my longest friends from school, he still lives in Chesterfield in Derbyshire. But when I was 18, I moved to Harrogate, which is in North Yorkshire. So that's where my mum is, my stepdad. I feel like my brother might be there. I don't know. I should probably find that out, shouldn't I? But no. So I mean, so I guess, but sometimes I was billed from Harrogate, which is Yorkshire. So, but it all just sort of depends. And at one point, I was billed from where Kingsling to where Nick was from, and obviously that was when we were doing the deal with TNA, and I, so we came from the same hometown, which we didn't, but it was just for storyline, affairs. But Derbyshire is the original place. But I love Yorkshire, so if you want to say I'm from Yorkshire, I'm okay with that too.
We had a Yorkshire pudding, a proper one, when we were there, didn't we?
No one knows what Yorkshire pudding is.
Well, we had a proper Yorkshire, whatever pudding over there.
There you go. A bit of inside info.
I love how Kamille said proper, which is a proper English word.
Say that again. I cut you off.
I just loved how Kamille said we had a proper pudding, which is a very English way of putting it.
She had a real Bakewell tart. If anyone knows what one of those, it was from Bakewell, so it's your proper tart. It ain't your Mr. Kipling's shop bought deal. So.
But I did bring those back for my mom, and she ate them all.
Well, she did. She left one.
She was supposed to give them to my nana, but she couldn't wait.
They were the Mr. Kipling ones, though. You buy them in the shops. These ones from Bakewell. I know we're going on a tart talk here, but
a tart tangent.
Those ones you can only get them in Bakewell from a proper shop, from a proper Bakewell tart shop in Bakewell. So there you go.
The end.
That was a great story.
This is what we normally talk about. Anyway.
Right,
we normally
tarts,
talk about
right?
tarts and stuff. So
Yeah,
you guys are fitting right in.
I mean, you're getting some people in the chat going. I don't know if you can see it. But
I figured. I mean, if there's some
York's
Brits
pudding
in there,
with gravy is.
If there's some Brits in there, I'm sure they'll
Manchester tart
prick up when they hear Bakewell tart. Yeah.
Yeah. 80 says they're from Burnley. In the chat.
Burnley.
So.
Okay. All right.
They thought you had the Yorkshire accent. That's how this all got started.
Yeah.
And a nice Victorian sponge. I have no idea what any of this
So,
is.
Kale, I was about to say, Kale likes a bit of spotted dick, but that's the old way of saying it. But no, she like, what's it called? She likes treacle pudding.
Yeah, I do.
And sticky toffee pudding, too.
Yes.
They're all things I don't think you can get here. And real custard.
Yeah.
It's so amazing you guys are in such great shape. I don't get it.
No, you should see what we got at the grocery store today for after tapings. We have bags and bags and bags. You should really see it.
Yeah,
we should bring that onto here.
We should. I actually spent $200 at the when we flew back from Mexico the other week. We're on holiday for a week instead of going back to the UK because this for the second time I've not been well. We could have gone back, but I'd have had to have stayed. So for the second time, we couldn't go back to the UK, so we took a cheap little vacation to Mexico. And obviously, I was really looking forward to going to the UK, mainly to see my family, but also to pick up as much chocolate as I could, some decent chocolate. And so when we were leaving the duty free, instead of getting cigarettes and booze like most British people would do, I spent about $200 on chocolate. So on Milka and Cadbury's.
Yeah.
So that's how much I love chocolate. I'm willing to throw down some cash for some chocolate.
That's awesome. Fee has a question I'm going to ask, and then we'll actually talk about wrestling. Hopefully, anybody out
Sorry,
there?
it's food. It's food.
No, it's okay. Even the chat's talking about food now. She wants to know though who's winning the tan competition at 73.
Oh well, I need to once I get eyes on Tim.
Yeah, Tim or Tim.
Then I'll know because it's always between me and him, and it's a real feud, to be honest. I mean, there's some animosity when the other one is darker than the other. You know, I shouldn't even be this color. I'm from England, so there you go.
That's a good point. Yeah. Front Row does have a wrestling related question. Surprisingly, Kamille, he'd like to know, who do you feel has the best chance to win the Women's Invitational and EmPowerrr, and thus go on to likely face you?
Yeah, so I actually talked about that this morning on Busted Open, and the three I said, I couldn't just pick it down to one, but I said three. I said either Kiera Hogan, because she's on fire right now. She's doing everything everywhere, and I feel like she just has a lot of momentum. Genocide, just because she's a huge robot, and I mean, that's pretty hard to beat, even though I've already done it, but we'll leave that there. And Chelsea Green, just because she's crazy, and sometimes crazy can get you far.
Those are some good choices, I think. Well, I feel bad. Like Tootie Lynn's not getting enough love. Poor Tootie Lynn, just a brand new girl showing up in St. Louis. Like, would you take it easy on her if she happened to make it through?
I wouldn't take it easy on anyone. Let me tell you that right now.
Sure.
Just making sure.
I don't even understand that question, Gary. I mean, this is these are
a
warriors.
lighthearted question.
Tootie Lynn
to criticize everything I say. Why can't you just?
Because it's so criticizing worthy. Like, of course she's not going to take it easy. They're warriors. They enter this profession to do combat. Why would Kamille take it easy on anybody? She's the world's champion.
I think Tootie Lynn's probably not getting enough love because maybe one, people haven't seen her yet, and then two, her name is Tootie Lynn, and that's kind of like a fun, lighthearted name. So she's gonna have to get in there and really show that she's like, a tough girl, because just simply because her name sounds so fun, Tootie Lynn.
Kamille, you are getting another question that people want to know about your appearance on AEW. What was that like, showing up there, like just in a brand new place?
It was nice on a personal and professional, level, personally, to get some new eyes on me. And then from there, get eyes on the NWA as a brand, just because I know there was probably plenty of people watching that was like, who the heck is this? But I know that my presence definitely stood out. And the fact that I absolutely towered over Layla stood out. And I don't have Twitter or anything like that, but apparently it was a very viral photo of us.
It was
standing there. So
what did you say to each other? Obviously, there was some conversing going on, and everybody was talking about the size difference, but you exchanged words. Do you care to share with us what you said to each other?
Well, you know how it is when you kind of see red, you don't remember what you say type of thing. It was something probably along the lines of, oh, really, you want this? Like, this is mine type of deal. And then she was probably like, yeah.
There was probably swears going on. Probably.
Yeah, I'm trying to keep. I try to, when I do these things, I try not to cuss a lot. I have to try to keep it, because my parents are probably watching this right now, and they know that I have a sailor's mouth. So I'm trying to not do that.
I'll say this, just jump on the back of that. I got to see a friend of mine on Helico, and so we bumped into him at the TV hotel, and he's the only person that I saw because I kept a low profile. I don't want to be seen. And so as I was leaving, he's like, "Hey, Tom." And so we got talking, because me and him hadn't seen each other since we were wrestling together in Germany and England and everywhere else. So I've not seen him in a few years. And it just so happened to be where he lives in Mexico was where we were going on holiday. So it was kind of weird. We were like, well, I'll see you in 4 days and we'll hang out. So we spent 3 days together in Mexico. It was really cool. So that was kind of a weird, random occurrence that I bumped into him, and we just so happened to be going to his neck of the woods like a few days later. So that was a really cool thing, just because if we hadn't have seen each other there, and I did well at avoiding everybody, we wouldn't have been able to hang out. So that was pretty cool.
That's Tom's AEW story.
That's my AEW story. Yeah.
I didn't even know Tom was there. Honestly, I assume.
Keep a low profile. You know what I mean?
He didn't go to the show. He stayed back in the hotel.
Yeah.
Figured he was watching like The Puppy or something. So
he was eating chocolate.
I was. So back to the food. So Sam, if I'm wearing his t-shirt right now, but Dexter, he took me and Kaylee to a Buc-ee's.
Bucky's,
which is like a giant gas station. I guess they've got them in Texas, and they're slowly making their way down. And oh, baby, that was a bad idea. So that was another place that I ended up buying copious amounts of food. So the day that she was at TV, I literally spent the whole day in bed stuffing my face.
That's my man.
Real life, you know.
That's good. Well, it's glad you've learned to be partners in that way too.
The food.
I mean, as long as you still look like that, I think you're doing all right. And that would not work out that way for me.
Oh well, yeah, this is it. I mean, I've got to be careful too. Believe that.
Well, we had that interview like Tom was talking about, like after the tapings, he was like, you don't want to see it. It's disgusting.
Yeah.
It's disgusting.
Well, like I said, we already went to Publix today and ended up picking up a bunch of stuff. So we got prepared.
We're prepared.
I'd actually gone in there to pick up a bunch of different cookies and things like that. And I thought, well, the sell-by date will be fine. We can get them now. By the time we come back, they'll be fine. And I was kind of angry with her for being like, no, we should wait. I'm like, no, we need to get them now. And then when we got there, you were right. They'd be out of date by the time we got home. So
of course I was right.
Should have listened, eh? I'm sorry everything's about food here, you know what I mean?
Yeah, let them get the wrestling questions. Look at Gary keeps looking over at the chat. He's trying to keep up with people's questions. We can't see the chat, but
I'm just like looking to see if there's something I wanted to ask or something out of there. Just if any of these great people asked a worthy question or something that we haven't already covered at some point. So
let me jump on there and do a little plug. So there's a school opening up, a wrestling school in Nashville that I'll be running, as well as Jeremiah Plunkett. It's opening up on the 20th of September. It's Coastal Championship Wrestling is the company name. Their website is being made as we speak, and that's ccwrestlingtn.com. And so if you're in the Nashville area, or you're in the Nashville area or anywhere else, and you want to be a pro wrestler, watch this space, because we're going to be starting to sort of promote it and push it and things like that. And right now we've got the ring and everything set up in a warehouse in Nashville. And so that'll be exciting. I'm looking forward to getting back to training. I know a lot of the kids looking forward to getting back to training. And then like today, we got to spend the day rolling around. Jax was there. Nick was there. We all get to sort of get prepared and get in a ring leading up to the pay-per-views and TVs, and it's something that we've not been able to do. So on a selfish note, besides it being good for future wrestlers and other people that want to get into the business, it's been good for us as well to sort of get this going again. So after the 20th, sort of watch this space, because I'll be posting about it and whatnot.
Yeah, I've been saying for a long time that Middle Tennessee is one of the most vibrant areas, not just in the United States, but in the world for pro wrestling, with guys like you and Nick and Jeremiah Plunkett. I'd be curious to know, like, who are some other talents that we should keep our eye on? I think about guys like Alex Taylor, someone I'm really high on. He's great. And who else do we need to look out for?
I mean, I'm pretty bad when it comes. One, I don't really do very many. The last sort of independent show I did was for Tracy Smothers. His the memorial, I think, or it was one back from Ox Baker. I think he's the promoter, and he'd sort of put on this, to raise money for his family and everything like that. So it was the last one I did. Alex was on that too. But I mean, there's a lot of this kind of the same old faces. I mean, you've obviously got like Crazy Steve's around this area, EY. I believe Miro lives in Nashville somewhere. I've got another close friend of mine that's moved here that I can't really say who it is. He's a lot more famous wrestler than I. But there's a lot of people moving here. But as far as like guys that on the independent scene, I couldn't really tell you, just because I'm not really right. You would know better than me, because you go to a lot of these shows. But Alex Taylor is definitely someone that needs to get eyes on, because he's super talented. I've wrestled Alex a handful of times, and he's also a lot of fun to be around. And we were at Jeremiah's wedding together, weren't we? So. Guys like that, you eventually want to see them get their moment to shine, and I think Alex has been around the block long enough to get that shot. So I guess it's just a question of luck, timing, and patience, really.
You mentioned the CC Wrestling TN, right? That's the name of the school.
Let me have a look right now. Well, because
Well, I was just going to ask you where that came from. I missed it.
I always bodge up the name here, but Kaylee will be able to say it better.
It's ccwrestlingtn.com.
That will be the website,
but it's not up yet.
But as you can see, it's not even been made yet. So we're literally just sort of getting these bits and bobs going tomorrow. Actually, on what day is it tomorrow? Thursday. Wednesday. Thursday, the promoter, he actually pops down because he's running a show there actually on the 28th. Brian Cage will be there, and in Nashville. And so we're getting together that Thursday to sort of hash some stuff out because right now we're just kind of, figuring it all out before we actually press the big red button. So.
Hopefully this is okay to ask. I know you've been doing stuff with Tried and True. This is like all separate from all of that?
Yeah, for now that's kind of been taking a pause, and I guess we're just going to go and see what. For me, with COVID and everything else like that, it kind of sort of ground to a halt, and there's a lot of places that didn't really start back up again. So we're obviously hoping and watch this space that Tried and True will be back up and running and back doing its thing and whatnot. But for me right now, it was more of a question of this place is going to be running a school, whether I'm a part of it or not. I'm not doing anything. I'm not really helping any kids. I'm not really, grooming the next sort of crop. And so I need to get back into that because that really helps me. It keeps me accountable and makes me feel good and helps me give back. And so, so it don't matter what school it was, I'd be going to work there. But I mean, I'm hoping in time, once stuff starts moving again, there's a lot of other moving parts can't really go into, but I mean, I do think that in time, Tried and True will be back up and running big shows. I mean, it was a huge deal here, so I think it's just a question of we just got to give it a bit of time.
I've seen a question about our interview that we had, Tom, where you mentioned it, and apparently that you and Kamille had started training for health rather than looks. Do you remember saying this? Because I'm trying to recall, but they were wondering what does that entail? Like, what are you guys doing?
Well, for me right now,
I train for looks,
and I do too. But recently, I'm just turned 35, like we were talking about, Gary, and you start getting paranoid, and you start going up, looking at your watch, going, my body's breaking down, and I'm not, there's only you've got a limited shelf life with this job, and my body isn't made of rubber. And so, and a lot of my friends, Dexter, people like that, we're all in the same boat. We're all older than a lot of people getting into the job. And so, he's another guy that really helps me out with sort of nutrition and mindset and sort of, the supplements that could, be taking ashwagandha to help lower cortisol and, all these other sorts of things I don't really think about, and longevity. And so something I've just started doing is fasting. And I've been doing that now for, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 weeks. And it's been real tough, but it's been something that I've really started to enjoy. And I would eat maybe 1, maybe 2 meals a day towards the back end of the day. So I'd go all day without eating. And besides fat burning and sort of all these other sort of good and food control and being able to not have to constantly think about food or be driven by food or carry food around, now I can just just eat and cook my big meal into the day, and that's that. And as long as I get my protein in and everything, and it just sort of like frees up your life, because normally as we know, I talk and think about food an awful lot. So with this, it's almost like a form of control to be able to go, you know what, I'm going to control this and not be able and not be driven and not need to eat every 4 hours. And also with the fasting as well, if you go a certain amount of time every day, it helps rejuvenate cells. When your body isn't focused on digesting and dealing with you constantly, having it anabolic and moving stuff around, when it doesn't need to digest, it gets to like focus on other things like getting rid of cancer cells and sort of like, figuring out the things that your body doesn't normally get a chance to sort of to deal with. So there's a big longevity sort of aspect in that. And there's a lot of people that listen to on Joe Rogan's podcast, and a lot of other, and there's some like, 60, 70-year-old guys that are shredded in the best shape of their life, super healthy, and they fast. And so it's just that's something that I've just started implementing now. Of course, it's for the look, but it's definitely also because I'm getting older. I'm worrying a little bit more about my wrinkly face, you know. I should stop going on the sunbed.
I'm about to say, stop going to sunbed then and start wearing sunscreen. But all right, that's one way to help that. But all right.
But he's got to outdo Tim.
Well, this is it. Like, you know, it's Tim's fault. Blame Tim. Tim's your fault. It's your fault. I've got a wrinkly face.
Well, Tim looks pretty fantastic himself for his age.
Does. He does. I won't look like that at Tim's age.
Well, I've got a question going into EmPowerrr, Kamille. You know, in addition to all the great matches and the title matches that are going to happen coming out in the last couple of weeks, that William Patrick Corgan has purchased the original Burke championship belt that Mildred Burke bought it from her granddaughter. You know, what does it feel like for you? How did you hear? What was going through your mind when you heard that, knowing that you were going to be walking into St. Louis now, not only carrying the current Burke, but being in the presence of, you know, a relic, a piece of history like that?
Yeah, so I actually saw on Instagram the first time with Billy holding it, and then Sports Illustrated did that whole write-up on it, which was pretty cool, and I think got a lot of buzz going too. And just the fact that, you know, first of all, I didn't know, is everyone keeping their belts nowadays? Like, am I going to be able to keep my belt and one day someone can get it buy it off of me? I don't know. But the fact that, like, how did he find this? I have no idea, but I do know Billy is a big, you know, history buff, and he loves the history of all of it. So I think that he was super pumped, not only for the NWA to get it, but on a personal level for him to, you know, have that piece of history. And I definitely am going to make sure that I get a picture with it because that's important to me. And yeah, just the whole EmPowerrr thing in general, I think it's kind of interesting, and maybe the boys might be a little jealous and not say it, that we're actually going first, and we're going to be, you know, rocking out the Chase Plaza first. So we'll do that.
I think it's nice and it's special. And it shows that Billy and the NWA care about tradition. And, you know, things like that still being so close to the heart, and things like that being so special. Again, still will make the NWA special. Like, of course, it's a blast from the past that is, you know, been rejuvenated and it's at the forefront now. But of course, you want to hold on to its traditional and its core values and what made it the NWA. So, you know, just tossing that in there, it's another thing that sort of, I don't know, completes it and makes the NWA, you know, whole and special and feel historic.
I'd be curious, Kamille, looking back here over the last 3+ years, how your career has just sort of risen meteorically. I think you were an enigma at the very beginning, and of course there was a long stretch of time where you weren't speaking, and that added to your mystique. What's it been like? How are you handling the public? I don't want to call it pressure, because I think a person like you doesn't really feel pressure. You just seem to be superhuman almost. But what's it like to now come into this phase of your career where I imagine people are hitting you up every day, multiple times a day, wanting a piece of you? How are you shifting from this sort of enigmatic figure, this mysterious figure that was the insurance policy for Nick Aldis, to being now you're the main draw? How have you adjusted to that?
Yeah, so I think I will say I think a lot of people, as I said, they liked the mystique, but okay, how long can I go without talking? Number one. Number two, sorry that I have a Southern accent. So sorry that I'm not Russian or British, but I think it's just going to take people a bit of time to get to know me. I think that's kind of been a big adjustment, because it's like, oh, now we hear her talk. Maybe it wasn't what we were expecting, how she would sound or whatever. And now it's just a fact of getting to know me and how I present myself, how I talk about certain things, what makes me fired up, what keeps me calm and laid back, because I'm a decently laid back person. Yeah, just that's the biggest switch, is now having to reintroduce myself to the public and getting them to kind of get used to this new me.
Yeah, I think it comes with the territory, but also you're not going to please everyone. And that's something that, you know, I've found over the years, and it's something that you have to be okay with and be comfortable with. You know, not everyone's going to like you. Not everyone's going to like the way that you speak. You know, and it's just how it is. You know what I mean? It's part of life. So, you know, it's 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 trying to appease the ones that are already understand and already know the situation and want you to succeed.
Well, guys, we appreciate your time. I know you're very busy or you've been working out all day, so we don't want to keep you forever, but we want to thank you for stopping by here. We do love you guys, despite what Doc says. And,
Can we not carry on this conversation about food?
Oh my God,
we could keep going about food. I mean, we could keep going, but you've still got a whole weekend to get through first.
Well, that's totally. I've got one more meal. I got beef, peanut butter, and potatoes to eat, and then I'm going to sleep, so I don't have to think about it anymore.
There you go. So you enjoy your healthy food for now, and then you get yourself through 73 and whatever's going to happen on Powerrr, and then you can eat all the cookies you want to eat.
Well, if anyone knows a great donut place,
this is important,
or a cookie place in St. Louis, please let Gary know, and then Gary can, when we see each other at TV, he can tell me where to go, because that as soon as we get done, if there's time, that's where we're going, or we'll go before the last day of TV and stock up. So
perfect. Kamille, you're appearing at in somewhere, and sorry, I just want to ask you this one real quick. In September 5th, do you know if you're
Memphis? I believe September 5th is going to be Memphis.
Yeah, and they were asking if if you're in an actual match or is that just an appearance?
Yeah, I think it's actually going to be some sort of tag team match, so that'll be interesting.
Okay, all right, interesting. I'd like to see who Kamille would team up with.
It's their champion. Her name is slipping my mind, but it's their champion.
Perfect. All right.
Yes.
Well, that'll be fun. All right. Well, guys, thank you so much for hanging out with us. August 28th and 29th, EmPowerrr, NWA 73. You might get to see a whole weekend of Kamille. You will see a whole weekend of Kamille.
Well, that's what I'm saying. We're talking about might.
We'll see a whole weekend.
That's what he does,
Kamille.
That's what he does.
But yeah, and we'll be looking forward to the tan-off between Tom Latimer and Tim Storm, and then them beating each other senseless.
I know I've not been on today. I should. Maybe there's time to quickly go.
Oh my God!
Just joking.
Poor Crimson with his red.
Yeah, they'll have to use a fake bake.
Yeah, there you go. I'm excited to see your guys' match because I want to know what a brawl in the Lou looks like. Especially, I don't know if this is the nicest place you guys have ever wrestled in, but it's
me too. Gary, me too. But
sure
come say hello when you see us there and grab us, because you know what I'm like. I'm like a blue ass fly running around. So.
Yes, but just a sweetheart, an old Gaza, whatever. I don't know what that even means, but you say that a lot to me too. I don't.
Oh, get that? I'm saying Gaza, like that's Gary Gaza.
Gaza.
Okay. Gaza, yeah, it's your name.
Okay.
There you go. Gaz.
Tom Latimer says it. I go with it. So there you go.
So what we'd call a Gary in the UK, Gaza.
Gaza.
Here you go. Learn something new every day, Gaza.
We've learned a lot today. So I feel good about it. All right. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us and giving these people some time. All right.
Bye.
You guys have a good night.
I'll see you next week.
All right. Bye. All right. Thanks to Tom and Kamille for showing up and hanging out with us. That was very sweet of them. And Rob, are you crying?
Crying, man. Hold on. Yeah. I was just seeing if I was unmuted. I'm crying, bro. I was touched. But I'm good.
All right. Well, chat room, you've been getting wild. Hopefully everybody's cool now and got your questions in, everything you need to ask. Front row, apparently laying down the law, pissing people off. So thanks for that, front row.
There you go.
Good to see you, Roy to Caps, Media M, John Gott, Ryan Romano, Schmeenix, Eric Dale, Armin, James, all of you. Thanks for being here. You guys want to run down the card real quick on both these shows?
Yeah, let's go for it.
Might as well.
Right.
Might as well, baby. Might as well.
Let's do it. Let's hang out with these people. Let's run down these cards and see what we're going to have to look forward to this weekend. Everything's been pretty much revealed. And I'll tell you something. One of the things I'm looking most forward to is, obviously I'm looking forward to both events. And let's not forget that there's a fan fest both days. So if you're not going to the Fan Fest, I don't know what you're doing in St. Louis. You might as well go to the Fan Fest. It's only $20 to get in there, and you can hang out with all your favorite stars from the National Wrestling Alliance. That's on Saturday, August 28th, Sunday, August 29th. On the 28th, it is the women. No, I'm sorry. It says it right there in front of my stupid face. Right on the 28th, it's the folks from NWA 73. and on FanFest Day number 2 on the 29th, it's going to be the ladies from EmPowerrr. A lot of them are going to end up being there. And so this is going to be a blast. I am looking forward to the FanFest as much as anything else because just you never know what's going to happen when people show up, and there's going to be pictures and autographs and all kinds of stuff. So we're going to see what's up.
I'm definitely looking forward to that big time. I was really glad when they added that because this is just one thing that the NWA, just in my opinion, they're leaps and bounds above other promotions when it comes to honor. I mean, the fact that the three of us are sitting here on this YouTube channel right now shows how much the NWA values fans. We're just three fans that like to talk about the NWA, and they've given us this platform. So it wasn't surprising to me that they're doing a fan fest, but I'm super excited because this is just something that the NWA, like I said, does really well. And the chance to not only attend these events in a historic venue and this weekend, it's, getting to meet the wrestlers and people involved, like we just did, talking to Tom and Kamille, getting to have those moments. Those are the kind of moments that you remember forever. So on top of, being at these events that are going to stick in our minds forever, that we're going to be telling our grandkids about, we're also going to get to meet and greet, the stars of this weekend. So yeah, I'm super stoked for it.
I actually got a DM just now on Twitter that asks if we will be there at the Fan Fest and if we're signing. And I would say, yes, we are signing $5 or best offer. Or best offer. We may pay you to let us sign for you.
I'll be signing the credit card receipts for the 8x10s I'll be buying for autographs and stuff like that.
Yeah, ain't nobody giving us nothing for free. So
no.
$5 or best offer.
We're as excited as everybody else to hang out with all these people. We're a little chummy with some of them, like Tom and Kamille, that were nice enough to jump on here. But Nick Aldis ain't going to give me a free pick. I can tell you that much. So I'm not going to get a pick with the 10 pounds of gold at any point.
Yeah, make sure you come to that so you can see the face-to-face, face-off between Gary and Nick in person at the Fan Fest.
It's true. All right, so let's talk about some other stuff. We've seen our officials have been introduced. Yali Sapphire, they're going to be one of your officials. Becky Phillips and Claudia the Claw Reeve. I don't even know how she got that name, but there she is. We're going to find out a lot more about Claudia there. And also a big triple threat happening, a battle of the brands. You've got Chica Tormenta from AAA is going to be at EmPowerrr. She's going to be taking on Diamante from AEW, and our very own from the NWA, Kylie Ray. Old smiley Kylie Ray. Look at her. She's just great. You guys got any predictions about that one? Just right here.
My heart goes to Kylie just because we've seen her a lot in the NWA lately. But like with a lot of these matches, and you mentioned it earlier with Tootie Lynn. I mean, these are people that, unless you follow every wrestling promotion out there, which none of us have the time to, this may be your first time seeing a lot of them. So my first time seeing a lot of these wrestlers. So, I can't, like I said, my heart's with Kylie, but anything can happen. I know, there's talent from all different promotions represented, and that's what makes this such a cool event.
My heart and my head are with Kylie Ray. Kylie Ray walks out.
Yeah. And Certified Hustler, I see you in the chat. You're going to have to deal with Front Row, so you're going to have to be nice. So, but I see you. What's up? Don't cancel pizza. We can still be friends. But just I can't do anything about front row. That's NWA appointed moderation right there. So you gotta keep it chill.
Yeah.
But
Hey, certified hustler, we're gonna eat pizza together. We're gonna break bread together. We fit to break bread together.
Pizza bread.
Man.
Yeah.
Well,
That's my favorite kind of bread.
We saw her on here tonight, and she looks like $1,000,000 every time you see her. But Kamille is going to be defending that NWA Women's Championship. The Burke itself is going to be defended against AEW's legit Layla Hirsch. There is a huge size difference here, but Layla, if you've seen her wrestle, is a technician first and foremost, and she don't care about how big you are. She's going to chop you down. That's her mission here, and she's going to need to be on her game when she faces off with Kamille. I don't even need to ask Doc this, but Doc, how you feeling about this matchup?
Yeah, it's technician versus demolition. Okay, legit Layla Hirsch. She is legit. She is legit with a comparable athlete of her size and skill level, but she's going up against Kamille, who is a comparable athlete of her skill level and 10 times her size. So this is not even a question. This is a mathematical equation. It's a mathematical certainty. I've run the algorithm, Gary. I've done the math. I've run the calculations. I've got a scientific calculator right here on my iPhone, my iPhone 6, and the results are no doubt about it. No doubt about it. Legit Layla Hirsch has a bright future. One day, she might hold the Burke, but it will not, cannot. Good God Almighty, it shall not be against Kamille.
Y'all got him preaching now. Listen, I'm not a math guy. I've never been good at math. So same outcome, different path to get there than Doc. I do think Kamille walks out, still the holder of the Burke. I think that it's going to be an intriguing matchup, to say the least, just to see with the size. Everybody's fixating on the size difference, and I know that's a legit thing, pun intended. But it's still two hungry athletes getting in the ring together, chasing after the top prize in women's wrestling. And, I say it all the time, anything can happen. And so I predict Kamille walks out, the champ still, but I think it's going to be a great match.
Well, I don't have any of what Eric Dale's calling in the chat, Doc's quadratic equations, but I can say this. I usually reserve this for somebody at some point, and you don't make money betting against Kamille. That's just the way that it goes. So I'm going to line up with the rest of you. And let's see here. Next up, what about this one? You got Deonna Purrazzo coming in from Impact Wrestling, invited by Mickie James herself, and she is going to defend the Impact Championship against the NWA's own Melina, the legend of the ring. Everybody knows Melina. This is possibly Deonna's most challenging opponent thus far. Will, how do you feel about this matchup?
This one's the same way. I think the champion retains. Deonna Purrazzo has been at the top of my list for years when it comes to not just women's wrestling, but wrestling in general. She's been a standout everywhere she's been, from Ring of Honor to NXT and now in Impact. And, I see her holding that belt for a long time. I think Melina's going to be a challenge just because of her experience. But, Deonna's got experience too. So I don't think that that's going to be, the one deciding factor in this match, or the mathematical equation, as Rob likes to call it, of this match. I think it's going to be Deonna retaining the belt.
No, not so fast there, Will. You need to go and study the works and the teachings of Roy DeCaps in the chat, because Roy DeCaps said it better than I can say it, and it's as simple as this. Melina takes the dub. Melina walks out the Impact champion, Knockouts champion. Guaranteed.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's tough. It's tough to say on this one. It's a big matchup. Melina's definitely got the experience factor, but I'm gonna have to jump in here and say that Deonna Purrazzo, there may not be anybody more on fire than her in women's wrestling right now, aside from Kamille. So just that Deonna is tough to beat, and she's been up against a lot. So it's gonna take a lot of work from Melina to make this one happen. I'll tell you another thing that's happening at EmPowerrr is the NWA Women's Tag Team titles are returning. Will's so excited. And you're going to see 4 teams compete in a tournament. And we're going to find out who the next NWA Women's Tag Team champions are. The Free Games are coming to EmPowerrr. I like that we got a little clip of Rob dancing.
Oh
my God. Well, welcome to the NWA Women's Tag Team Tournament Free Base. There is Jazzy Yang, daughter of the great Jimmy Wang Yang, and she is teaming up with Hollywood Haley J, who is the current Ohio Valley Wrestling Women's Champion and also a second-generation wrestler, and Miranda Gordy. Do I really need to tell you how that's relevant in this particular scenario? Not only the Free Babes, who are just slowly, especially for putting together little videos like that, becoming one of my favorite new teams showing up in the NWA. They're going to be also here with Hell on Hills, Sahara 7 and Renee Michelle. You've seen them on AEW. They've been touring all around the independent scene, and they are in the NWA where people prove themselves. And they want to prove themselves by becoming the NWA Women's Tag Team Champions. But to do that, they're also going to have to go through the Hex. Allison Kay and Marty Bell, Lightning One NWA era originals. We know these people. These are hashtag NWA fam, faux real. It doesn't get any more original for us than Allison Kay and Marty Bell. Allison Kay, of course, former NWA Women's Champion. She's going to be standing right there next to Kamille, by the way, with the Burke, the original Burke. Because that title is designed, the Women's World Championship designed after that title at Allison Kay's request when she was the NWA Women's Champion. So I like them. That's what I'm saying. Also, don't forget that AEW is sending their own team because they're used to seeing some NWA gold over on their show, so they want to have more. They're sending Red Velvet and Kylan King. And these two ladies are no strangers to each other. They've teamed multiple times over on AEW television, and now they're showing up at EmPowerrr to take the NWA Women's Tag Team Championships. And do they take them back to AEW? Well, that remains to be seen. Fellas, Will, I'll throw to you first. How are you feeling about this? What do you think is going to happen?
Well, you had to go and show me that video and make me feel all kind of nostalgia hearing that song. And really leaning towards the Free Babes, but my opinion is the same as it was last week, and that is the tournament is going to be hard fought. It's going to be there's going to be clear winners. You're going to have to prove yourself with these 4 teams as the top team. So the good thing is whoever comes out with the belts, they're going to earn it. It's not just going to be a novelty. It's not going to be something that, just one match and you're good. You're going to have to prove yourself. And, as I said earlier, anybody can win a match. Things can happen. The tides can go your way. But to win 2 matches back to back in the same night, that's going to take a level of skill that is championship material. And I think the Hex is going to do it. After talking to them a couple of weeks ago, and I know Doc's going to not so fast me, and I don't know why he's holding his phone right up to the camera. He must be doing math on his calculator, his scientific calculator.
Nah, I was tweeting a picture of you. Sorry.
Not again. But yeah, I think the Hex takes it all. And but I mean, you guys already know this, but that's the part where I'm going to try to work my way up to ringside and just be giddy the whole time watching this tournament unfold. Because not only is it great, going to be great tag team wrestling, but just the weight of those women's tag titles coming out and becoming a part now of the NWA landscape is just it's overwhelmingly exciting for me.
Doc, how you feeling about this with women's tag team titles coming back?
I hear what you're saying about the Hex. You know what I think? I think there's some everything's not water under the bridge there. I just feel it. I feel something there. But I want to tell you a story about a place you don't want to be. This ain't no home sweet home. It's a home sweet misery. We knew when we got here, they tried to put us away. But when they seen us walk down the street, they ran the other way. I'm talking about Babe Street, Atlanta, GA. Babe Street in the whole USA. That's what I'm talking about. I got the fabulous Free Babes walking out, the first NWA Women's World's Tag Team Champions of the modern era. Bank on it.
And if that happens, we assume the Free Babe rule would apply to the belts.
Free Babe rule applies. I mean, I don't write the rules. I'm just saying common sense would dictate.
I mean, there's precedence.
Oh, boy. That's going to be a tough team to beat, I tell you what. And it's going to sound like I'm hedging, but those are my 2 favorites for this tournament as well. There's a part of my heart that all of my heart, let's do what you guys did. My heart says the Hex because they're the OGs. It just feels like full circle that they should come back and take these tag team titles. But I will say my brain, especially Free Babe rule applying, 3-on-2, it's tough to beat. The Free Babes from Babe Street, USA, I don't know. Those look like 3 bad girls. They're coming in they want to make their debut and they want to do it with a bang. So it's hard to disagree with that.
Well, it's like the old saying goes, Gary, 17 punks came calling and they thought that they were hot. They thought that they were nasty and could make it down our block. But I'll never forget hearing that ambulance driver say, someone should have told us about the bad babes USA. You know what I'm saying? Someone should have told us about it.
Somebody should have told. Oh, my God. You know what's disappointing is that WWE owns that damn song now, and so which hopefully we didn't play too much of, but we're still live, right? We're still.
Good thing I didn't sing it because we'd have got flagged. I've been like Bad Street, Atlanta, GA.
Rowe pointing out an excellent point there, saying that Free Babe rules apply. They would have an advantage in a 2-match card, so any combination could jump in there. So, they might be the smart ones here.
It's true.
Walking in here.
I haven't thought about that yet. That's why we got you front row.
That's it. I didn't even think about that. All right. Well, then all that's left to discuss is the NWA Women's Invitational Cup. Not only do you get your name down in history on the cup itself, also the first ever winner of the cup. Also, you immediately sign yourself up at the #1 position for contenders to that NWA Women's Championship with your first shot guaranteed at NWA 73. So let's run down those folks real quick. Debbie Malenko is going to be there. Legendary wrestler. all over the world, coming out of retirement and trying to prove herself right where she knows it matters in the National Wrestling Alliance. We got Tootie Lynn on the exact opposite end of the spectrum, the new face from St. Louis, Missouri. She's the hometown girl, so you know she's going to have backup there in the crowd. It's going to be interesting to see what the little blue dragon does, and you know she's ready to prove herself on the big stage. Jamie Senegal, who's going to have outside support from Pollo Del Mar, and that's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. And, of course, Masha Slamovic, who's got to be a favorite in this. Masha is as badass as it gets. She is going to be participating in this Invitational Cup. But then, of course, to do this, she's going to have to get through the coolest wrestler you'll ever meet. And that is Lady Frost, who I would say at this point we can kind of consider one of NWA's on. She's NWA fam. She's been through some seasons of Power, so she's looking good. And, she's looking to get herself into the title contention. But she'll also have to deal with 100 years young Miss Thunder Kitty coming in, ready to recapture her glory from the days of yore. Now, if anybody knows what it takes to win the Burke, it's Thunder Kitty, since she wrestled the original Burke and what some have said was the first deathmatch rules match. So, that's legit. Thunder Kitty's got the experience factor above all.
A contemporary of William Flagg himself.
Yeah, William Flagg coming at you. Coming at you, half-man.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, but you want to talk about some real competitors. You just saw her on AEW Rampage this past week. Kiera Hogan is going to be in action. She is in the Women's Invitational Cup, and she is on fire. The hottest flame, she calls herself, is also the hottest free agent, and she's coming to establish herself in the National Wrestling Alliance, and there's a good chance that she's going to do a great job, but she's going to have to deal with folks like Genocide. Mm-hmm. You want to talk about outside help, Taryn Terrell, who has been, she's up to no good usually when she's walking around, although she would have you believe she's just perfectly nice and doing nice girl things. But Genocide doesn't need help. Genocide is the bionic beast, I believe is what we call Genocide. And so everybody's going to have trouble with her. Just go follow her on social media and watch how hard Genocide's working every single day. It is truly inspiring and will also make you feel, at least me, feel like a fluffy piece of crap. All right. And then finally, one of the biggest names to show up, Chelsea Green, is going to be in action in EmPowerrr in the NWA Women's Invitational Cup. Another one that Mickie James invited personally due to her troubles on the big stage. Just politics and that sort of thing. Now she's rocking the independent scene, bouncing around. You've seen her on Ring of Honor, Impact, everywhere. WWE. She is everywhere a wrestler could be right now. And now she's in the NWA competing for that National Wrestling Alliance Women's Invitational Cup. So I throw to you fellas for the main event of EmPowerrr. Who do you see walking out of here with the cup and the title shot against who we all think apparently will be Kamille?
For me, there's a lot of factors here, and we don't know exactly how the match is going to go down, and who's going to be facing each other when. But just looking at that lineup, to me, Genocide sticks out as somebody that I have a hard time seeing anyone just taking her out. And Gary, you mentioned outside help, and we're traditional wrestling fans. We hate the idea of outside help or anything being a factor in the match. But with somebody like Genocide, I just have a hard time believing that without outside help, that she would be overtaken in this match. So my favorite, just going through that list like you just did, will be Genocide.
And I got to be with Will here. And here's the thing that frustrates me about you, Gary, is like we get to a point in the show.
What did I even do this time?
No, we're having good. No. Let me talk for a second, man. We listened to you all night. All right. We're having this good analytical discussion. I was starting to feel comfortable with you, Gary. But then you got to throw this little jab in there about Taryn Terrell, like, oh, she's up to no good. What are you talking about? She is advising genocide. And I'm with Gary. It's not that, like, if you take Taryn Terrell out of the equation, like, suddenly genocide's at a disadvantage. But it certainly can't hurt to have a legend like Taryn Terrell advising her, which is all she's done. Her motives, as best as I can tell, are nothing but noble. And, all you guys, half of you guys in the chat, half of the people out there in the Twitterverse, on Facebook, on MySpace, on whatnot, Doggone Snack Shack, all the Instagrams, all the different, on Yahoo.com, AOL,
Alta Vista,
Netscape Navigator, all that junk. They're all going goo goo gaga over, Lady Frost, who I like. I respect Lady Frost. And then they're going goo goo gaga over, blah, 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 this one, that one, this one, blah, blah, blah. Hold on. I got my iPhone 6 calculator right here. The algorithm, hold on. Let me put in the equation. Carry to 2. Genocide. Tootsie Lynn. We got Thunder Kitty. Boom. Carry to 1 equals, no doubt about it, genocide. Genocide shall not, great God Almighty, will not be beaten.
I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to have to talk to Pope when we see him in St. Louis about that promo and talking to you about maybe.
But he told me I could say that.
All right. Well, I'm doing. I have a newer iPhone than you, and I was doing the calculations, and they all seem to favor genocide. And I feel like that's accurate because technologically genocide would be the victor here, I think. And so
she's got the latest Pentium processor. Is that still a thing, Pentium?
Sure, probably. I don't know.
So she's got the latest one, man. They just came out with it about a couple years ago. So she's got that, and it's cutting edge technology, man.
Well, we're saying all that, and then of course, like Russian Dynamite, Masha Slamovic's probably go roll up in here and just like bust everybody up, and then that's gonna be just wipe her hands, call it a day, and head for Kamille. So that's it. Now, again, we're assuming Kamille. We both picked Kamille. I will say, Will and I have been on the same page the whole entire time. Doc, you've pretty much been there with us too, which is interesting.
For different reasons, though. Don't group me in with y'all. That's why I got a different background. I'm not with y'all. I don't work for This Is Pro Wrestling. You know what I'm saying? I'm my own person. So don't group me in with y'all. Yeah, I came to the same conclusion, but through different routes. So go proceed, Gary.
Hey, man.
Well, we gotta find some common ground because we're about to spend a week together in St. Louis. So we can't be at each other's
that's the common ground. The common ground is we have the same Airbnb. The common ground is that we have the same Airbnb, and you're going to be eating my snacks and drinking my stuff. That's the common ground.
Well, first of all, I'll be drinking my own stuff because I have
and I'll be drinking
drink, and
I'll be drinking Gary's stuff.
Yeah, and I'm as objective as they come.
I got students.
I will not bow to any company. NWA doesn't influence what I think. They brought us on here to tell what we think about the show.
Yeah, that's why every time I see you at the tapings, you're back there in the corner, like and Corrigan. Conspiracy Corrigan and Irish Pat Keener are like, Gary, blah, 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 blah. And you're just like, oh, yes, sir. Yes, I understand. I got you. And then they don't even ask to talk to me. They don't want to say nothing to me unless they want something.
Listen.
Hey, we need your charisma.
No. Corrigan or no.
That's how it goes.
I do not bow to any company or any
Yes,
sponsor.
you did. I seen it. Yes, you did. Will, don't lie. You saw it too. You saw it. Nick Aldis seen it. Trevor Murdoch seen it. Pope seen it. Perro seen it. Perro was right there. You was like, yes, Mr. Corrigan. Yes, whatever. I will help you carry this conspiracy out. I heard it. I'll read lips.
Sorry. I would love to argue. I was just having to wet my whistle with a refreshing Busch Light. So anyway, jumping into NWA 73, one match we know is going to happen. We don't have a graphic for because we don't know what that match will be, but we do know there is an NWA women's title match, as there should be at the pay-per-view, and it will be either Kamille or it will be Layla Hirsch, and they will be taking on the winner of the EmPowerrr NWA Women's Invitational Cup. So that's going to be exciting. That's going to be a big, big match. Speaking of Kamille, we just had her and Tom on the show. Another matchup that we're going to have to look forward to, who Tom slightly mentioned, maybe opening the show. We got a big triple threat, big beefy boys doing battle at the Chase Park Plaza Hotel. Tom Latimer takes on Crimson, who takes on Tim Storm in a brawl in the Lou. How are you going to start off the Chase by potentially wrecking the whole hotel? I don't know, but there you are. Tom Latimer, Crimson, and Tim Storm, three of the biggest boys in the NWA, ready to throw down and do battle. This is going to be an exciting one. This one might steal the show. This one is one of the ones I'm looking most forward to because all three of these guys are some bad mamma jammas, and I can't wait to see who comes out on top. I am curious, though, Will, who do you think that person will be?
Oh, well, before I make a pick, as Tom alluded to earlier, that this would perhaps start the show, I think that would only be fitting, and I would take it even a step further and say it would only be fitting for Tim Storm to be the first wrestler to walk out at NWA 73. As far as who's going to walk out the winner of the brawl in the Lou, I mean, just look. I mean, if you take Doc's mathematical equations here and you look at them and you do the math and you run the algorithms, as Rob likes to do, it's just hard to pick against Tom Latimer. And I know Rob and I are going to agree yet again. This might be the most agreeing that we've done in one single show, but I think it's going to be a hard-fought battle that perhaps goes all across the building, and hopefully they don't break anything and get us kicked out of there. But these are three guys that, regardless of how they feel about each other, they are prize fight wrestlers. They're competitors, and they want to win every single match that they walk into, and this one's going to be no different. But I think at the end of the day, Tom's going to want to come in and make a statement, and I think he's going to do it.
Doc, I almost hesitate to even bother throwing to you because I know.
No, he's right, man. He's right. No, it's not about loyalties. I mean, I've developed an app. It's not yet available on iOS or Android, but I've developed it, and it includes my algorithm. I call it Pinterest. Get it? Pinterest. Because they pin people. But anyway. Yeah, when I run it, I'm putting in factors like this. You got Tim Storm, obviously former NWA World Heavyweight Champion, but he's not gotten a lot of ring time here lately. You got Crimson, who's got a lot of emotional collateral he's bringing into this with Jack Stain in this and whatnot. But then you look at Tom Latimer. Everything's good with Tom Latimer. His bae is the most dominant women's wrestler in the world right now. He's sitting pretty good right now in Strictly Business. He's probably got the least hanging over his shoulders. And when I put in the math, boom, no doubt. Will is right. Tom Latimer wins this.
Interesting point. What's even more interesting than this is, despite what you may think about me, Doc, I'm going to lead Tom Latimer on this as well. I think that Tim Storm is, of course, one of my favorite wrestlers in the world. Love Tim Storm, Mama Storm's baby boy. But you made an excellent point using your PhD in professional wrestling. He is a guy who's been out of the ring quite a bit this season. We saw him take on and defeat Jordan Clearwater, so he's still got, he's still going a little bit. You assume he's warming up before he heads down to St. Louis, but he's up against two of the baddest dudes in the National Wrestling Alliance. And although Crimson is an amazing professional wrestler, We have seen him from time to time lose focus and let that emotion get the best of him. As you've pointed out, Doc, can be detrimental to your victory. Tom Latimer is always cool, calm, and collected, and just, he's like the Hulk in Avengers, where he's like, "That's my secret. I'll stay angry." And so then Tom Latimer busting up in there. Somebody who, my MCU people, go get that. But anyway, Tom Latimer. Listen, man, if for my money, there's nobody better in the National Wrestling Alliance than Tom Latimer. So he's as good as anybody else there. And we're going to see, but look at us line it up yet again. All right, let's talk about another big matchup that's taking place. Pope goes for his revenge when he takes his team with the End, Odinson and Perro, up against Tyrus, the man who defeated him for the TV championship. And Tyrus has selected Jordan Clearwater, which makes perfect sense. They've been aligned here recently. Jordan Clearwater's been hanging out with Tyrus's crew. And the Masked Man, the man of mystery. We don't know much about him, but we know he can go in the ring. He went to a draw with Crimson in the Champions Series. He's defeated our boy Mims. Masked Man is no one to be trifled with. And, of course, Tyrus, undefeated in the National Wrestling Alliance. The End are some big boys, and the Pope is as skilled as it gets. But I'm curious, Will, what are you thinking about this 6-man tag team action?
Well, I think hands down, Pope and the End are going to win this. I think, I wouldn't say Pope's got a chip on his shoulder after losing the TV title, but I definitely think Pope's going to come in with an extra bit of grit and determination into this match. Because even though it's not a TV title match, obviously, it's not a one-on-one contest, I think he's going to be laser focused on exacting some kind of revenge on Tyrus. But we've got some just wild card factors in this match, with the other 4 guys. And I'm a huge fan of the End. Odinson and Perro obviously is a tag team, and so he's got that to his advantage on his team. Pope does. Masked Man, as we know, he's a skilled technician in the ring, and Jordan Clearwater is an accomplished up-and-comer in the National Wrestling Alliance. So a lot of talent in one ring in this match. But at the end of the day, I do think Pope and the End are going to come out on top.
Doc, what about you?
This match mystifies me. I ran the algorithm. I can't get a decisive answer on this. There's much that I like on both sides of the fence here. I like the End. I think they're, when you're dealing with tag teams, I think the only ingredient in either of these two teams that speaks to that is the End. They know what it takes to win a match like this. You got the Pope who's coming off a loss, he's hungry, but then you got Tyrus who's coming off a win and he's enthused. Jordan Clearwater is hungry as it can be, but then you got the Masked Man, and the Masked Man is driven by, it might not be his ulterior motives, but he's driven by somebody's ulterior motives. He's on somebody's strings. This is the embodiment of the conspiracy working against Strictly Business. That obviously isn't at play here. So I want to see what the Masked Man does. What he does in this situation. He's obviously talented. We've seen him in action. We've seen him perform very impressively in an NWA ring. So I'm going to withhold my opinion on this. Really, I don't know. I'm about even on this. If you would force me to make a judgment on this, I would have to probably give it to the Pope and the End by virtue of the fact that the End are a cohesive tag team. I've not seen anything out of them that strikes me as anything less than cohesive and on sync. And that, at the end of the day, if you had to push me, that was what's going to carry the day in this match.
It's well said for both of you guys. I'm going to have to throw in here, and I'm just going to go ahead and just say, as even as I think this matchup is, and it's well put together by Mr. William Patrick Corgan, props to him for this. This is going to be an exciting 6-man match, and I know that sounds like suck it up, but I'm just really excited to see what happens in this one, because these two teams of 3 are going to be so evenly matched. It's going to be a battle. But I'm going to actually roll with Tyrus and the Masked Man and Jordan Clearwater on this one. Tyrus carries all of the experience. He is on fire, has been unstoppable so far in the National Wrestling Alliance. If he's the legal man, show me the man that's going to pin him. And I don't think you can. And then you've got two blue chip talents that we've seen just a sneak peek at how good they can be, and they're only getting better out of Jordan Clearwater and the Masked Man. The Masked Man is as determined as they come, and Jordan Clearwater, all he needs is one simple boost in confidence with a big win on a big show like NWA 73. I think this is it. I think this is the one. These three are going they're going home with a W, I feel like.
And you bring up an interesting point too that I haven't thought about. In a 6-man tag, one of the interesting characteristics of it is the different one-on-one combinations you're going to get in the ring at different times. And you just look at, any guy on either team versus any guy on the other team, and it's an intriguing matchup. Obviously, Tyrus and Pope that we've seen a lot of matches from lately and that title change. But you take a guy like Jordan Clearwater. I'd love to see Jordan Clearwater in the ring with Pope. You take Tyrus and put him in the ring with either Odinson or Pero, and there you go. You got big men going at it. Masked Man, him against Pope. He's made it clear that he's going after gold. Pope used to hold some gold, so that would be a chance to see him against a recent former champion. So there's just a lot of cool things at play when you do a 6-man tag like this.
Yeah, I can't agree with either one of your analysis on there. I think the bottom line, if this boils down, if it settles into a conventional tag team match, then it's got to favor the End and the Pope. But if it becomes a battle of individual personalities, I can't disagree with what you're saying, either one of you.
All right, well, let's move on to one more match here we've got to look forward to. Let's do a ladies match. You got Mickie James, and this is a co-main event if I've ever seen one. I mean, this is a huge one. Mickie James takes on the I feel like I throw around Blue Chipper a lot, but it's hard not to in the NWA. Kylie Rae is one of the best. I don't know if you guys saw Battle on Air podcast, the interview with William Patrick Corgan, and he mentioned in that interview that if there was anybody like Kylie Rae, he said there are people that are really good. There are people that are good in the ring. There's people that are charismatic, and then there's people that just have this X factor, the charisma. You hear about it all the time. The intangible that you just can't describe. And he says that there is something about when Kylie Rae steps in the ring that he saw it in her. And he was happy that they could work out the deal to get her in contract with NWA because he saw it with her that there is just this intangible that when she is in the ring, everything else stops. And so he sees that in her. Well, another woman who is exactly like that is Mickie James. Mickie James, a legend in the business, world champion everywhere she's gone. And she is going to compete against Kylie Rae. Kylie Rae's probably never had a big a challenge as Mickie James. But if there's anybody who's ready to step up, it's Kylie Rae. Doc, I'm going to throw to you first on this one. How are you feeling about Mickie James versus Kylie Rae? Who comes out on top here?
Well, I know what you're expecting me to say, but this is how I'm going to prove to the world that I am an objective analyst when it comes to these kinds of things. Mickie James is great. She was one of my favorite of all time. She's, arguably the first lady of the NWA, Kamille notwithstanding. But I'm actually gonna give it to Kylie Rae on this, and here's why. Mickie James doesn't seem to me, from what I've heard from her in her interviews and her position as executive producer of EmPowerrr, she doesn't strike me as someone who's hungry for the Burke. When you look at Kylie Rae, this is a woman who is young and hungry for the Burke. She is gunning for the stars, and I don't feel that with Mickie James yet. Now, if Mickie James came out tomorrow and said, we've done this, we've done this thing, we've got in the chase, we brought back women's wrestling in the NWA, we've done EmPowerrr, and now my focus is on you, Kamille. Then the equation changes, but I've not heard that yet, and you guys got to agree with me there. Kylie Ray, on the other hand, she's coming in and she strikes me as someone who's hungry. She's got the talent. She's of comparable talent. She's got the youth. She's got the skill. She's got the charisma. She's the full package. As much as it pains me, because I am Team Aldis, I'm Team Aldis, but this is where my objectivity has to shine through. At the end of the day, I got Kylie Ray winning this match, and I've got her in the pecking order to eventually challenge Kamille for the Burke.
Ooh, Wil, that is an unexpected pick from the Doc here.
I wasn't mentally prepared for that pick. I have to take a minute and recover. So we're back to our old ways here, and I'm going to have to disagree with you, and not so fast, Doc. I think this match, while you bring up some great points, and you're talking about motivation, you're talking about, where they're at in the current pecking order and where they're gonna be, I think in this match, all of that goes out the window, and you've got two talented competitors for one match in the ring, and they're both going to be going after it with all they have. They both have a lot to prove. I mean, Kylie Ray obviously has a lot to prove in the NWA on the trajectory that she's on. Mickie James has a lot to prove because she'll just be coming off of, putting on a historic show and executive producing EmPowerrr the night before. And so she's now going to turn her attention to proving herself in the ring, which, she doesn't have to prove anything to any of us. She's already proven herself to all of us. But I do think that she's going to come into this wanting to prove herself in an NWA ring. And I think that combined with her experience is what's going to be the X factor in this match to have her come out on top of Kylie Ray.
Well, I felt like we had such a bond going there, and now you forced me to choose. Well, I guess I broke apart on the 6-man tag, so I feel okay saying this. I actually, Doc, I think your reasoning is sound. Don't get me wrong. Like for what you perceive is the scenario, but where I would disagree is that you're talking about Mickie James as though she doesn't have as much motivation as Kylie Ray. And I think that's where we would separate, because I think Mickie James is a person who's coming out of a situation where if any time in her life she wants to prove herself, not only with the EmPowerrr pay-per-view, but as one of the greats of all time in professional wrestling. And I think here's the chance for her to do just that at NWA 73, to give me your best, and I'm going to still show you I got it, and I ain't lost it, and I'm still the top women's wrestler in the business today, if not wrestler in the business today. I love Kylie Ray, and I see big things in her future. I see NWA World Championships in her future, but I think on this night, Mickie James is going to be a little bit too much for Miss Smiley Kylie.
The flaw in your argument, though, Gary, is that everything that you're saying Mickie has to prove, she's already proven. It's established. That's not at debate here. I mean,
well, it's not that we don't think she has.
If Mickie James wins this, am I going to be shocked? No, it's not going to be an upset one way or the other. I mean, this is the hunger factor. This is a situation where the pressure is on Kylie, not on Mickie. And I think it's the eye of the tiger here. Where does the eye of the tiger factor in? Mickie has nothing to lose. Kylie has everything to gain. And I think that's what's going to be the decisive factor. This isn't about strictly business. This isn't about Team Aldis. I think that Mickie and Kylie could both listen in on this and respect what we're saying here about this match. Just analytically, though, I think that everything, the way this is shaping up, everything to me favors the climate, the zeitgeist. Everything favors the trajectory of Kylie Ray here. It all seems that, again, there's a lot of pressure on Mickie, but it's not of like what she has to prove. It's about what she's doing this weekend. She's got a lot of weight on her. She's preoccupied. She's got distractions. Kylie Ray, not so much. Kylie Ray is one of the most inspiring, one of the most highly anticipated, respected talents in the world with none of the pressure. Just all of the anticipation. She's got everything to gain. And Mickie James really has nothing to gain from this. So when you throw those into the equation, I think Kylie Ray walks out of this.
Yeah, and everything you're saying, again, I feel like we're on the same page on a lot of this, except that I think that we all know who Mickie James is. We all appreciate who Mickie James is. My argument is that for Mickie James right now, she's obviously walking into EmPowerrr with something to prove, and she's still feeling like she's got to reestablish that for a company who, I don't want to bring up any dirt or anything like that, but we've seen the stuff, the trash bag incident, all of that stuff. Like Mickie James is trying to walk out and say, you know what, you lost. I want to show you everything I thought you should be doing. I could prove that with EmPowerrr. Everything you just let go, that you just tossed out, I'm still the top draw in women's wrestling, and I'm going to prove that at NWA 73. I'm going to beat one of the best up-and-coming stars today. And so, although we know, and we would tell Mickie, you're crazy, you're a goddess. Like, don't let these people tell you any different. Mickie James still got that competitive spirit inside. And ain't nobody else brought up, by the way, Strictly Business or Aldis in this discussion except for Doc Stinson. So just let that be known. So I'm just talking facts.
Last I checked, Mickie James is not a member of Strictly Business.
I know. That's why I didn't bring them up. You did.
I said them notwithstanding. I was like, they're not an issue here. I mean, I know that's.
How about this tag team title match? Look at this one. Aaron Stevens and Kratos are taking on Bestia 666 and Mecha Wolf, La Rebellion. The tag team champs have been going longer than I think a lot of people expected them to. Just being a what some might call a thrown together team, what Doc would say was a strategically placed team. Aaron Stevens hiring a mercenary like Kratos to come in and help him win tag team gold. And you can't argue with the results. There they are. They've been the tag team champions for quite a while now. But one of their fiercest challenges to date come in the form of La Rebellion, showing up from AAA on loan to the National Wrestling Alliance. And they came in and they're tired of the goofing around and playing and being fun and, sportsman-like. La Rebellion is serious business and as vicious as they come. Will, I got to throw to you first on this one. How you feeling about this tag team title matchup?
Well, I say it's no secret. It might be a secret because I try to be publicly as objective as possible. But La Rebellion is my favorite tag team right now, and I think I've talked about this on social media if you guys follow me. It's partly just I love tag team wrestling. I think these guys, for good or for ill, they work well together. They have made a statement in the NWA. They've come in, they've made their mark, and they've made it very clear from the get-go that they want to reestablish, I don't know if I'd say respect, but they want to reestablish the seriousness of the tag team titles. I think they've taken issues with, some of the ways that Aaron Stevens and JR Kratos have approached the tag championships, not taking it as serious as they should, not being as on the same page as a tag team should. And I think these guys understand that better than most tag teams. And so I think they're going to come out. I think we're going to have new tag team champions, which is going to be pretty exciting. But I will say, just like any match, I could be wrong. I mean, Aaron Stevens and Kratos, they could come out and just be a totally cohesive team. They've got experience together. And as you said, they've held these titles for a long time. And so proximity can bring closeness sometimes. And so they've been around each other. And so maybe they come out a more cohesive unit because of the stakes, because it's NWA 73, and because this is a team that is a little more put together than any other matchup that they've had to face as champions. So that's to be seen, but I do think La Rebellion comes out on top.
Doc, I'm curious where you're landing here when it comes to the greatest tag team championships known to man, the NWA tag team titles.
I mean, Bestia 666 and Mecha Wolf are terrifying. They're La Rebellion are one of the scariest teams. They're one of the most physically imposing teams that I've seen. I just don't know if they've got the discipline. They come in and they lay waste to people, and they don't seem to care much about gentlemen's rules and this and that. And you know, we've seen other teams in the past like that. This is the team that probably more than any other team I've seen in recent memory reminds me of the Road Warriors, Hawk and Animal. And I say that with the utmost respect. But let's look at Aaron Stevens and J.R. Kratos, who hold the most prestigious tag team champions in the world. We've seen them go through the stages of team development, okay? Now, for those of you who want to know, and I'm sure it's all of you, my doctorate is actually in learning and leadership. It's not in history. It's not in pro wrestling. It's in learning and leadership. And they tell us that in team development and in team building, there are 5 stages: forming, storming, norming, performing, and terminating or ending. And we've seen Aaron Stevens go through right now probably 3 or 4 of those stages. We saw them form with the hiring. We saw them storm, right? The abrasiveness, the learning to understand each other. Now we see them norming, and I would argue performing. In the last few weeks of Powerrr, we've seen them act as a gelled, cohesive team. We see J.R. Kratos providing exactly what Aaron Stevens sought when he hired him. And right now, I don't see another team on the landscape. Landscape.
Lamb steak. That sounds delicious.
The lamb steak. I don't see any other team on the landscape as cohesive and as highly functioning as this team with everything to fight for. So at the end of the day, while I see Bestia 666 and Mecha Wolf, La Rebellion, being one of the most dominant teams, I don't see them getting over this obstacle of Stevens and Kratos. By the way, let's look at, in my opinion, the most dominant tag team in NWA history, and I'm talking about the Road Warriors. How many AWA tag team championships did they hold? How many?
I usually ask you that question.
They held 1. How many NWA World Tag Team Championships did they hold? 1. How many WWF World Tag Team Championships did they hold? 1. Now, what they accomplished was tremendous. They are the only team to run the gauntlet, to win the Triple Crown, AWA, NWA, and WWF/WWE. But they were only able to do it once. Why? Because they were not a team that was built to respect gentlemen's rules. They went out and they obliterated opponents. That's who La Rebellion is. They're going to go. They're probably going to win this tag team championship one day. It might be at 73. But if you want to pin me down and say who's going to win when the rules apply in gentlemen's rules in an environment like the Chase in St. Louis, I don't see Stevens or Kratos walking out here without the championships. My money's on those guys.
All right, well, I'm happy to say that I get to bounce back around here and say that Doc brings up an interesting point there. PhD kicking into high gear here in the later hours of this episode. The Aaron Stevens and J.R. Kratos thing here is I don't see anything indicating on this matchup that it's Lucha rules, which is what La Rebellion is used to. And so they're going to have to stay in that squared circle and win this thing with a lot less craziness than they're used to in their normal home field advantage. This is an away game for them if there ever was one, and they're stepping into the territory that Kratos dominates as a mercenary, that Aaron Stevens has made his living off of. I'm going to have to say, folks, if you're looking for a tag team title change, I don't think you get it at NWA 73. I think Aaron Stevens and J.R. Kratos continue to establish themselves as a legitimate, one of the great tag teams of NWA history. All right, so let's jump into the next matchup. We got 2 more to go to get through. I know this is a longer episode, but gosh darn it if I ain't excited. I'm just ready for this weekend in St. Louis. I'm ready to see all of you beautiful people. And by the way, we haven't said this, but if you aren't familiar with us, we're over at TIPW show. We do a show called This Is Pro Wrestling. You'll probably see a lot more of us after the chase. We've been tied up in this NWA game a little bit. But if you love talking pro wrestling, we have a Discord. If you go to at TIPW show, it's the pinned tweet up at the top. We'd love to have you in our Discord community, hanging out with us, talking trash about whatever wrestling promotion you want to, because we've got a channel for every single one of them, plus memes, plus regular live stuff, plus movies, all of that stuff. If you want a community of people that you can get along with that also love professional wrestling, that's the place to be. Over at TIPW Show on Twitter, and just that pinned tweet. Go ahead and click in there. If you're in that chat right now and you haven't done that, come on, you're missing out. You love hanging out in this chat, you're going to love hanging out in the Discord and shooting the breeze with all the people there. All right, let's jump in to the very next thing, and that is going to be the National Championship is on the line. If you watched Power Flux tonight, then you got a chance to see a big deal about James Storm. The Cowboy is returning to the NWA, where he belongs, I personally believe, and he is returning to reclaim his championship from the masterpiece, Chris Adonis. There he is. I mean, the guy is a two-time national champion. James Storm has held that title. He knows what it means. It takes you straight to the top of this business. You can bet as he makes his return into professional wrestling, that's exactly where he wants to be. So I got to ask Doc, as a fan of Strictly Business, does Chris Adonis have what it takes to fend off the returning Cowboy, James Storm?
Oh, no doubt about it. Yeah, Chris Adonis walks out of here still the national heavyweight champion. James Storm, obviously, I've got a tremendous amount of respect for him. He's held this championship before, along with a host of other tag team championships. By the way, while I'm thinking about it, let me fact check myself. I just happened to look it up. The Road Warriors held 2 WWF tag team championships, 1 NWA, 1 AWA. So I wanted to make sure I correct myself on that, just in truth in advertising here. But back to this match. No, Chris Adonis is the one that's been active. He's again, he's no stranger to the NWA. He's got everything hanging in the balance here. James Storm's coming in. He's coming in. You know, he's done some things in Impact here of late, but I don't see. You know, we saw tonight on the best of season 5. We saw a replay of James Storm versus Colt Cabana, the occasion which James Storm won that championship against an injured Colt Cabana. Chris Adonis isn't injured. Chris Adonis isn't walking around on crutches. Chris Adonis is 100%. He looks like a Greek god. In fact, I've done my research, and he is a Greek god. His name is Adonis, in fact. So I don't see any way in the world that James Storm wins this. It's going to be a great match. Right now, probably my top 2 or 3 most anticipated matches of this card. But at the end of the day, Strictly Business walks out with this championship. Chris Adonis is still your national champion.
Will, where you landed on this one?
This is one match that I don't think there's a possibility for an upset, and that means if whoever wins, you're going to kind of nod your head and be like, yeah, I can see it. But I do think at the end of the day, I'm going to lean a little bit towards Doc's outcome. Again, not necessarily the process to get there, but we have the same prediction for the outcome. I think Chris Adonis is just starting his second run as the national champion, and I think that he's hungry to keep that. And you're right, he's not injured. He is 100% as far as we know, and Chris Adonis at 100% is scary, no matter who he's facing. James Storm's got the experience. He's held the belt before. He's been in the NWA ring. He's been in the ring of almost every promotion out there. So this is a guy with experience. But I do think at the end of the day, Chris Adonis comes in with a little bit more to prove and with a little bit more motivation to hang on to that title this time.
Fellas, I'm going to just go ahead and jump in and say that I line up with both of you. I think that Chris Adonis didn't win back that title for nothing. He is ready to hang on to that. Strictly Business wants to retain their power, and Chris Adonis as the national champion knows exactly what he holds in his hands. And you look at that picture right there, that's a very serious-looking man, and he's not a man who's about to let that title go anytime soon. He's been on fire in the National Wrestling Alliance. He's a 2-time national champion, but let's not forget that was by choice. That man gave up the belt and then just won it back. So it's hard to believe.
No, it's not like that. It's not like that. We're not going to rehash the whole. We're not going to rehash the whole last 2 seasons of Powerrr. We saw what happened. The people, if they're objective, would know what happened. And as far as I'm concerned, Chris Adonis is a 1-time national champion. He never legitimately lost the title.
I'm over here trying to freaking compliment the guy, and you can't.
Nah, but you always got a little veiled compliment. You always put a little stigma
It's not
on
a
there.
veiled compliment. It was just
Yes,
saying
it was.
he, by choice, didn't lose the title. He gave up the title to enter a battle royal. That's all I'm saying.
It would. Yes, he acted in the greater good of the company because of some machinations and some tomfoolery and balderdashery going on at the top level. Again, I've seen you. I've seen you in the corner chit-chatting all chummy with Irish Pat Kenny and Conspiracy Corgan and Jerry Minder Joe. So don't try to play innocent here.
Some might call that business. I don't know. Maybe strictly business. While you're over in the corner trying to chat up Mae Valentine and she's trying to get back to the locker room and she can't leave.
No, that's not how that – because they didn't want to ask me to be on the interview panel. That's all that was. We was just talking.
Uh-huh. Yeah. All right. Anyway, feel bad for the ladies.
I didn't see any of this. I was out.
Don't feel bad for her. You don't feel bad for her. That was a good conversation.
Okay. All right. Well, let's talk about the biggest match of this weekend, arguably. Not even arguably to me. I mean, this is the one for all the marbles, the NWA World's Heavyweight Championship. Nay, the real World's Heavyweight Championship is on the line when Nick Aldis steps into the ring, the dealer, the national treasure, and he has, well, I was going to say elected, but Trevor Murdoch had the title shot. He had to give it to him. Trevor Murdoch is taking on Nick Aldis for the World's Heavyweight Championship. And here's the deal. This is more than just a title match. This has become a moment in time. This is historical. This is why if you've got tickets to NWA 73, you're witnessing history, the legacy of professional wrestling, 73 years of professional wrestling. The National Wrestling Alliance has existed. This title trumps all other titles. This title has been around longer than any other world title. All other world titles spawned from this one. And on this night, August 29th, it is being defended by the real world's champion. Over 1,000 days. Doc can probably tell us where he's at right now. But over
10,000 was 1,039 days. 1,039 days, Gary.
1,039 days as your real world's heavyweight champion. On August 29th, he is going to defend against Trevor Murdoch. Trevor Murdoch made the pitch, although, again, we say he didn't even have to, but he's determined to win this thing. Both students of Harley Race, Trevor Murdoch, the original student of Harley Race, in his hometown, St. Louis, Missouri, the hometown, the stomping grounds of Harley Race himself. This is legendary. This is holy ground for professional wrestling, and it is only right that on the 73rd year of the Alliance, the title is defended, and Trevor Murdoch has insisted that if he cannot defeat Nick Aldis, he will retire from the sport that he grew up loving. It's I gotta say, as I sip my Busch Light here and think about it, I just I don't like it, Trevor. I wish you hadn't done this much because it doesn't have to be like this. We saw in Charlotte what the results are. Trevor, it's not that I don't believe Trevor can win the match, but we've also seen that Nick Aldis can defeat Trevor Murdoch. We saw that in NWA Powerrr Season 1, and we've seen it again in Charlotte here recently. I don't know why Trevor has to own up to this, but Nick Aldis, the dealer, has called his bluff and is making him put his career on the line here. And, well, if Trevor can't come through this time, you're witnessing history one way or the other. It is a world title for Trevor Murdoch or oblivion. And Will, I'm just curious where you line up on this. What do you think is going to happen here?
There is so much on the line here, and there's enough on the line anytime the world title, the 10 pounds of gold, is defended in a match. I mean, that's enough. We're fans of prize fight wrestling. That is the ultimate prize in wrestling. So those stakes are high enough, but you add on top of that, as you mentioned, Trevor Murdoch has put his career on the line, and you talk about him not having to do that, and I understand that. You're right, he didn't have to do that. It does make it really scary because we love Trevor Murdoch. We have a lot of respect for him, and he's coming to the NWA as he mentioned last week. Really was just here for like one match and ended up staying. And he's become a world champion contender. He didn't have to do that, but I think Trevor believes that he did have to do that, put his career on the line, because as he said in Charlotte, and you guys were there and saw it live, he said, if I can't be world champion, like what am I even doing here? So I think this is more of Trevor trying to maybe even prove to himself that he's supposed to be here. But then on top of that, and I don't know if you guys saw the graphic that the champ posted, I think it was yesterday, but it was a graphic similar to this one on the screen right now, but faded in the background above both of these guys was Harley Race, the silhouette of Harley Race. And so you've also got that kind of shrouding over this match. Both of these guys trained by Harley Race, both of them have that connection, even though they're polar opposites. And so this match, it just feels like everything's at stake, and it is for Trevor Murdoch, and in a way it is for Nick Aldis too, because he's got a lot to defend every time he defends the 10 pounds of gold. It's so hard for me to make a prediction here, because you're exactly right. This isn't the first time we've seen this match, and every time we've seen this match in the NWA, Nick Aldis had his hand raised at the end. And so that's tough to unsee or to unlearn. But the stakes are higher than they've ever been for Trevor Murdoch, and he's literally fighting for his wrestling life in this match. And so you said it best, and this is what I love as a wrestling fan. This is one of those situations where one way or the other you're seeing history. So if you're going to NWA 73 like we are, congratulations. If you're going to watch it on Fight TV, you're going to be witnessing history either way. You're going to either see Trevor Murdoch become the NWA World's Heavyweight Champion, or you're going to see Trevor Murdoch telling the wrestling universe goodbye, thank you. I start to tear up as I even think about it, because Trevor's means so much to me personally. But it's one way or the other. You're going to be seeing history.
I'm glad you invoked history, Will. Let's talk about history. Let's go back all the way to the early 1900s, and we're talking about Earl Caddick, who was the lineal undisputed world's heavyweight champion, who had to leave the country while world champion to go fight in World War I. As champion, had to set aside title defenses for a time because there was a global crisis, and then came back still champion and defended the title. And that's a similar situation that we put Nick Aldis in. Here's the thing about Nick Aldis. Nick Aldis never gets the credit, even today, after 2 World's Heavyweight Championship title reigns. This one in excess of 1,030 days. It's on the day that he defends this championship, it will be day 1,044. That doesn't mention the 200 plus days of his first title reign, but he never gets the credit. When he went on the Aldis Crusade, it was, this is the Lightning One era. They're an upstart company. It's not the same NWA. Never mind the fact that he beat everyone, including the entire current AEW roster. Nobody gives him the credit. Time and time again, he's proven. On every occasion, he's proven. And now it's no longer a question of if he's one of the greatest NWA World Championship holders of all time. The question now must be, is he the greatest of all time? And that's what I'm talking about. Now, the reason I say all that, the reason when I went on that tirade is when we wake up on Monday morning on day 1,045, we may get to 10,000 guys, but on day 1,045, everybody's going to hate Nick Aldis. He's going to be the man that ended Trevor Murdoch's career, right? Are you thinking about that, guys? He's going to be the man that ended the career of Trevor Murdoch, who I love, who you love, Gary, who you love. We all respect the man. He is the first student of Harley Race. The specter, the weight of history hovers over him like no other person right now active. But let's remember this. It wasn't Nick Aldis that made that deal. It was Trevor Murdoch that made that deal. And so when you all wake up on Monday morning, this coming up Monday morning, and Nick Aldis is still the champion, don't blame him. Don't blame him for doing what he's done for the last nearly 1,050 days. Go out and deliver time and time again. Walk out over every competitor. again, the question's always asked me because I get this all the time on a daily basis because I have somehow turned into the Nick Aldis apologist. I don't know why the whole world isn't a Nick Aldis apologist after what he's performed for this company in this business. But I get asked, who's he beaten? And my answer is always the same. He has beaten everybody he's had to. You put him in his path, he's beaten them. Every single person, time and time again. We saw James Storm thrown up here today, challenging for the national champion. He's beaten him a couple of times. Tim Storm has been thrown out there. He's beaten him. Trevor Murdoch, yeah, he beat him in When Our Shadows Fall. And y'all like to throw the stigma about how that match ended, but then he turned around a couple of weeks later and beat him fair and square clean in the ring. So the weight is not on me. The weight is not on Nick Aldis. Nick Aldis has done what he's got to do. He will do it again. The weight is on Trevor Murdoch. I'm just saying, at the end of the day, when the dust settles on Monday morning, do not blame Nick Aldis for the fact that we've seen the end of Trevor Murdoch, because Nick Aldis didn't ask for that. Trevor asked for it. And so that's what's going to happen on 1045. We're going to have to deal with an NWA without Trevor Murdoch.
Well, you know, the thing is, Doc, is that nobody here is saying that it's on anybody else other than Trevor Murdoch. I mean, on this panel, at least, it's we know what Trevor Murdoch offered. I personally wish he hadn't have, because we've seen results from past matches, and I wish he had not decided. I mean, I've never taken away from Nick Aldis what he can do and what he has done. If anything, I've ever questioned is just why he's made certain choices, but it's not because I don't think Nick Aldis deserves the NWA championship. It's not because that I don't think he brought the NWA back from near oblivion and made it into what it is today. It's none of those things. Nick Aldis is the real world's heavyweight champion. By hook or by crook, he is still there. And I understand Trevor's determination to take that title off of him because of that very weight of history that you mentioned weighing down on him. He's chosen this path that he has. There was a speaker, it's Tony Robbins, as a matter of fact. Some of you guys might know him. He said one time, if you can't make the pain of something worse than the pleasure of it, you'll never achieve it. And I assume that is the path that Trevor Murdoch is walking here. The pain has to be greater than the pleasure. The pleasure of being the world champion, but the pain of potentially losing the one career you've loved your whole entire life, the thing you've strived to be successful at. And so that is what Trevor Murdoch's doing here. Again, though, as a person like me, these are things that normal people, you have to pull something deep inside of you to get to this point, that you're willing to put it all on the line against someone who, granted, has beaten you in the past, a man who has proven himself to be your better on certain days, that you're willing to believe in yourself so much that you risk everything. That's what Trevor Murdoch's doing here. And I mean, I get goosebumps thinking about it. I get teary thinking about it, just like Wil was talking about. It's just, I want so much for the man to win. And I believe in Trevor. If you're listening to this, I believe in you, but this is a lot. You've chosen the hardest path possible to get what you want. And I wish you the best, my friend. It's 1,000 and whatever days at this point. It's hard to bet against Nick Aldis. 1,039. It's hard to bet against Nick Aldis at this point. And many men have tried and many men have failed. Trevor,
they all have failed. They all have failed, Gary.
Yeah. So
all of them.
I just wish it didn't have to come down to this. And I Trevor, I'm putting my faith in you, brother. You believe in yourself enough here, but this is it, man. This is oblivion. This is the end of the line for you if you don't put yourself at the top of the professional wrestling landscape on Sunday, August 29th at NWA 73. And well, anyway, so
Well, let's end on a high note.
yeah, I was going to say I'd love to keep things perky. Here
Hey,
at the
either
end,
way, listen,
but-
I'm the silver linings guy. So, like I said, either way, we're getting to witness history, which is what wrestling is all about. Obviously, we want to continue to see Trevor, and despite all this stuff, there is still always the chance that this is not even relevant this time next week, and we're celebrating a new world's champion and a great match. So, whatever happens, it's going to be noteworthy. It's going to be great to talk about, and it's going to be historic, and it's going to get you in the feels. So either Gary and I are going to be celebrating, or Gary and I are going to be crying, and Rob's going to be celebrating. So either way, the dynamic is about to change after this weekend.
Well, let me teach you how to celebrate in that case, if that's what the case, because you guys aren't used to it. I'm very well used to it. I've been doing it for 1,039 days. So if you need tips, okay. Well, we'll hold off on that. It's going to be a couple more thousand days before you need that advice.
Yeah. And how did you learn? Because like myself, you're a lifelong Braves fan, so we're not used to celebrating anything except for in the early '90s a little bit. So did you take a class or?
Really? Right here, while that's where we're gonna go with this. I've got
What's
the
the
Yankees
score?
and the Braves on the TV
What's
right
the score?
beside me.
I know you do. That's why I said that.
4-3, top of the sixth. 4-3, top of the sixth. But the Braves are rallying, so
okay.
I think we'll pull it out.
See, I didn't know the score. I didn't mean to hit you in the soft spot right now.
Oh man. All right. Well, everybody, thank you so much for hanging out with us. Who knows what'll happen between now and then. But if nothing else, we'll see you on August 28th, August 29th at the Chase. The freaking Chase, people. The Chase Plaza Hotel. Full circle. 73 years. Like, we've come full circle in the NWA. We are back in Sam Muchnick territory. We are seeing history in the making in so many different ways. We're not talking about just wrestling at the Chase. We're talking about the first ever NWA Women's Invitational Cup, the return of the NWA Women's Tag Team Champions. We're talking about the national title defense. We're talking about the tag team title defense. And we're talking about a real world's heavyweight championship on the line, and one man's career hangs in the balance of this. This is huge. It's as big as it gets in pro wrestling. You don't want to miss this. If you haven't bought tickets, it's too late for 73. You can try for EmPowerrr, but at least jump on Fight TV and buy that bundle. It's an excellent deal for 2 hot nights of professional wrestling action that I promise you will not be disappointed. You got to check those out. It's the best deal you can make this year, I guarantee you.
And coming on the heels
Rob,
of the
Will, you got anything you want to jump in on?
I was just saying, coming at this event, coming in on the heels of the 116th birthday of Sam Muchnick just the other day. I think we celebrated that. When was that? Sunday?
Yeah.
Something like that. So going to be a great event. We'll be there. We look forward to hanging out with you guys and, kicking it and talking some wrestling and enjoying a historic couple of evenings, followed by what promises to be a fantastic season 6 of NWA tapings.
What did Caps throw it out there, by the way? Sorry to jump in there early, Will, but how do we even get through all of this and not even talk about the return of the GOAT, the Nature Boy, Ric Flair? Not only are we going back to the Chase, not only celebrate 73 years, the Nature Boy, Ric Flair, perhaps the greatest NWA World's Heavyweight Champion of all time, is returning to the National Wrestling Alliance. He is back. He will be there in the Chase. That's history alone. And so much more is happening here. But go ahead, Will. Sorry.
Yeah, that's huge. I honestly don't know how we went 2 hours without talking about that. I think that's just a testament to how stacked these cards are for each night. So the wrestling is going to be great. The festivities are going to be great. The Fan Fest, as we mentioned earlier. But then, just stuff like the original Burke being on hand, Ric Flair being on hand. There's just so much, we talk about it all the time, but history, legacy, and tradition. That's what the NWA is all about. And it's so great to see weekends like this being put on in historic venues like the Chase in St. Louis. We're going to be there. I'll say this, we'll probably be pretty busy while we're there, but follow all of us on socials. We've got our Twitter handles and at TIPW show for the show. We'll try to be as active as we can, sharing out, stuff about the experience and what we're getting to be a part of and experience while we're there. So if you can't make the trip and you want to live vicariously through our experience, make sure you follow us and interact with us. Ask us questions. We love to be as active as possible on social media. So make sure you go follow us.
All right. Well, that's it for tonight. We've gone long enough. Thank you so much to everybody in the chat for hanging out with us and talking. And if you're watching and not in the chat, we appreciate you too. This has just been for celebrating what's coming up. This is going to be the biggest weekend in NWA history, at least for the past God knows how many years. So, I mean, this is a big, big weekend, and we couldn't be more excited. We're excited to spend as much of that with you guys that are going to be there. Please come say hello. And of course, everybody at home, like Will said, check us out at TIPW show or any of these handles here. And we love you guys. Thanks so much for hanging out. And until next time, you guys enjoy your gravy cake.